Jamie, you were not on our show on Friday. I wanted to get your thoughts on the Bears wide receivers. And we've talked about who should be the wide receiver one. I think that's a very relevant conversation now. We talked about the biggest risers and fallers. We'll go through a lot more. We have more news and notes as well. But let's get your thoughts on the Chicago wide receivers.
No, Dave hinted at it before. I agree that DJ Moore is the better of the two for me. Just, again, age is a factor here. Keenan Allen's going to be 32. I think Moore is in the prime of his career and, still going to be he may not lead the team in targets, but I think he still will lead them in yards and touchdowns. And, we'll see what Caleb Williams, now that the trade has happened, the ridiculous trade has happened for the Bears of Justin Fields going to Pittsburgh, who he tends to lean on. But I feel more comfortable drafting DJ Moore first. So Moore is still a top 24 receiver. Keenan Allen more of a top 30 receiver. I just feel like this is going to be the cliff for Keenan Allen where he falls off.
Ooh. So, okay, you obviously said your piece. I just want to give this stat. DJ Moore's been in the league 6 seasons. In those 6 seasons, Keenan Allen, I knew this would be the case in full PPR, but in half PPR, he has had a better per game average than DJ Moore every single year, Dave Richard.
He's been better. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But we don't project backwards. We project forwards.
Of course,
it's true. And Keenan Allen's going to be the elder statesman of this receiving core. We talked about on Friday how he does seem to fit being that scramble option in the short and mid-range for Caleb Williams. We know that Williams is good at being a good scramble quarterback, but when plays stay on schedule, I would expect DJ Moore to be the primary target. And I still think Moore will be the primary target the majority of the time. Might be a slim majority, but the majority of the time when they're in the red zone. You can get away with saying something like Keenan Allen is the better value pick between the two of them because you're going to be able to take him a round to 2 rounds later. But he's also older. We know that he's coming off of an injury from last year. And there's also, and this is me kind of being influenced a little bit by Heath, huge question about the rookie quarterback and whether or not Caleb Williams can make it the jump in his rookie year, potentially right away from USC into the NFL with the Bears, a franchise that has never seemed to develop a franchise quarterback as long as they've been in existence. So there's a lot of question marks still there for both of these receivers. But that's why I'm not taking either of these guys with a first or second round pick, even in full PPR.
Yeah, Moore was a second round pick for me prior to this.
Now he's what?
Right. Agreed.
Yeah. Okay. All right, here's my case for Keenan Allen. He is arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL at getting open. I believe he was number 1 on ESPN's open metric. He didn't just have his best year. He had, he was on pace for 141 catches, 1,625 yards, 9 touchdowns on nearly 200 targets last year. It wasn't just 2023, though. He did this in 2022, the last 8 games of 2022. Because remember, he played the first half of the season, he played 2 games and he left both of them with an injury. The last 8 games of 2022, he was on pace for 128 catches, 1,434 yards, 8 touchdowns on 176 targets. Not quite as good as 2023, but still unbelievable. So it's a year and a half now of him being elite. He is going to be 32 years old next month. That is a big deal. But the 2 guys I compare him to very often, Julian Edelman and Larry Fitzgerald. Edelman had one of his best seasons of his career at age 32. Larry Fitzgerald made the Pro Bowl at age 32. After some down years, he bounced back at age 32 with 1,215 yards. He averaged 76 yards per game. So I think his profile ages better than outside guys that are more physical and whatever. So he's already done something at age 31 that most receivers don't do. So that's my case for Keenan Allen. I still agree with you. I would take DJ Moore, but that's a touchdown.
I mean, look, it's a very strong argument, especially when you factor in Edelman and Fitzgerald. I wonder. I mean, I know for Edelman, he really didn't have a lot of competition for targets on the end of his run with Brady because it was just they're kind of like throwing band-aids at the receiving corps, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to remember who Fitzgerald was playing with at the time, but I don't think anybody in terms of DJ Moore's caliber, if I'm not mistaken, guy entering his prime, coming off the year he just had. The other part of this is I think Keenan Allen's never played football outside the state of California.
Right.
Well, I mean, road games.
Well, you know what I mean, like as his, his home team. Um, so we'll see how he handles the elements, how he handles, playing in a different scenario. His mindset. He said he wanted to be a Charger for life. So how happy is he? All those things kind of factor in when you talk about a guy that was his age. It is his age.
Okay, if you want answers to your questions, Larry Fitzgerald in 2015, he was the leading receiver. Second leading receiver was John Brown, who did have 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns in 15 games. Carson Palmer was good that year, really good that year. Edelman, though, yeah, it was ugly. The second best receiver on that team was James White. Gronkowski played 13 games, had only what happened to Gronk? 682 yards and 3 touchdowns in 13 games. He probably was hurt in and out. So yeah, it was just Edelman that year. And Edelman only played 12 games that year. He had the suspension at the beginning of the season, I believe. Okay.